always attribute guitar to saving my life.
Wow.
It is sacred to me because I feel like, not only is it my gateway back into music, I now love piano, I love violin, I love music. But I think it truly gave me this outlet that I didn't have before. I'm not the most outspoken person, but it made me feel like I had agency. And finally, it was something that I chose for myself. Everything else in my life was predetermined by, you will be a pianist, you will be a violin player, you will be a high achieving person. Finally, this is something I chose for myself, and I taught myself, and it made me feel powerful, like I had something to control, and thus, in turn, psychologically, I felt finally like I had power over my life again, and I don't think I'd be here if I didn't have this.
Welcome to Inside the Noise by Guitarcenter, where we interview the artists, the leaders, and the innovators in the music industry. I'm Gabe Dalporto, CEO of Guitarcenter. Let's go inside the noise. Hey everybody, Gabe Dalporto here. Welcome to Inside the Noise. Today we've got an incredible guest. We have Yvette Young. She was rated by Rolling Stone, one of the top 250 guitarists of all time. Steve Vai told her that she was one of 5 guitarists pushing the instrument forward. She has 2 Ibanez signature models. She has 1 Walrus audio signature pedal, and she was in a Super Bowl commercial. So pretty amazing background and place to start. But first of all, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It is an honor, Gabe.
The honor is mine, and I am really looking forward to learning a little bit about you and your incredible journey. You're an incredible innovator, but before we get into that, I'd love to start with where your journey started, because I understand you didn't start off as this virtuosic guitarist. You started off on other instruments. So tell me a little bit about how you got into music.
Yeah, it is so funny. I always tell people that I never imagined myself doing music, because when I first started out, I was like, I hate music. I never want to do this, because I started out classical piano, started when I was 4, classical violin, started when I was 7, played in 2 orchestras. I was in the competition circuit. So, my parents immigrated from China, and I think they just really wanted me to have a strong classical background, and they wanted me to have the best chance I could at applying to college and having a strong resume. So they really loaded me with a really rigorous education around music and academics. And I was just in a ton of competitions, having to, do school on weekdays. And then on the weekend, I would just do recitals and competitions and things like that. It was so much pressure, for me. And, after school, I didn't really have, free time. It would just be homework and then practicing piano for 4 hours. And yeah, for me, it was not fun at all doing music through the lens of
wow,
using it to compete against other people.
Tell me, so tell me a bit about what is the competition circuit? What does that look like?
I don't want to speak on the experience of every person in classical music, but for me personally, it was just a lot of pressure. And I do think a lot of it was self-imposed, because I think I have perfectionist tendencies, which I've learned to shed a little bit with time, because some of it can be pretty unhealthy. But I was in auditions all the time, and there was this overwhelming feeling of if you don't get first chair, if you don't win first prize, there would be consequences, or, you're a failure, things like that. So, I think when you put music through the lens of something where you're quantifying it, you need to be number 1, or you need to get even X amount of plays, or X, it just becomes not fun. Especially when you're I need to use it to beat this other person. I need to be the best in my field. Some people maybe thrive off that, but for me, I felt like that was a stifling thing, a paralyzing thing, and it made me, like I said, hate it. I associated it with stress. Long story short, I got really sick with an eating disorder. In middle school to high school, they literally pulled me out of school one day because my friend reported me for having problematic behavior. And they took my vitals, and they were like, cool, you can't you have to be admitted in the inpatient thing because your heart is like not working anymore.
Wow.
So that day they packed my bags and I lived in the hospital for a month. And I didn't realize this, but I was flatlining in my sleep. So during that time, they were like, you have to take her away from all pressure, because an eating disorder, and I don't know if this is triggering for some people to hear, but like, the root of an eating disorder isn't like, I want to look a certain way. It's actually psychological. It's like, there's just so much pressure and you turn to food and exercise for control. And for me, I was so rigorous and controlled and, regimented in my life. I really turned to food as this way to almost like self-destruct in a weird way. And yeah, when they took away all the pressure, I was finally given the space, the capacity to explore my identity and what I actually want. And it was during that time where I decided to pick up guitar. And I always attribute guitar to saving my life.
Wow.
It is sacred to me because I feel like, not only is it my gateway back into music, I now love piano, I love violin, I love music. But I think it truly gave me this outlet that I didn't have before. I'm not the most outspoken person, but it made me feel like I had agency. And finally, it was something that I chose for myself. Everything else in my life was predetermined by, you will be a pianist, you will be a violin player, you will be a high achieving person. They were like, you need to be a doctor, stereotype. You need to be a doctor, you need to, marry this type of person. And like, finally, this is something I chose for myself. And I taught myself. And it made me feel powerful, like I had something to control. And thus, in turn, psychologically, I felt finally like I had power over my life again. And I don't think I'd be here if I didn't have this.
So how did you, so you hit this crisis point, and you're in the hospital. And you seem really self-aware right now. How did you come to this realization? Was it all at once? Did this take you time? How did you work your way out of that low point?
I think the key to navigating life is not actually, it's important to understand your surroundings, but your surroundings are always going to be in flux. So the best thing you can ever do is understand yourself. And I think to have that period of isolation where you're just literally in a hospital, just drinking Boost, just thinking about your life, you do a lot of self-searching. I was in therapy, for outpatient stuff. And, I really had, time to examine family dynamics and examine my life structure. And, when you also get near death, you think about what is important in life. And time is so precious and short on this planet. And I think the main takeaway, and this didn't happen overnight, this is just through the years, I realized that you have to enjoy what you're doing. And I wasn't enjoying anything. I was living for other people. Guitar is the first thing I really chose for myself. And I even, though I was practicing piano for other people and doing these competitions, I always did feel something. When playing, for instance, there's this piece, by Galinka Balakariv called The Lark, and I was playing it. I remember even when I was young, I felt like I wanted to cry when I was performing it, and I really latched onto that part of music, the emotive part of it. And I realized no matter what I do with any instrument, I really just want it to help other people and help people feel something. And it's such a great outlet for people to express themselves. And I know sometimes we get lost in this world of we got to be technical and we got to be the most, have the most wow factor when we play. But I think one of the most special things about guitar is that it's just so emotive and it can help bring out emotions that people have locked up inside.
So prior to this, you in your competition, circuit world, were you composing or were you mostly playing other people's pieces?
I feel like I have a composer's heart, because even in orchestra, I would be playing, like a Tchaikovsky thing, but I'd be like, oh, I feel like he should have written it this way. And
you're thinking, there's the improvement.
I would get in trouble all the time for
love that.
adding dynamics that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like Baroque music, I would put a little like swing into it. They'd be like, no, like you can't. So I would always play other people's music, but while I was in the hospital, I actually discovered Radiohead. I discovered bands like American Football and stuff. It got me into alternate tunings. And I was like, wait a minute, like I learned their stuff by ear in the tuning, and I was like, I could write in this tuning too. So I started kind of deviating away and making my own stuff.
So, and you took a pretty original path, and people call it math rock, right? But tell me a bit about that. I mean, this is not you're not playing your typical pop music and beats and tempos. Like, so how did you find your way into that genre?
Purely by accident. Like, it's so funny because I don't really think in terms of like, I want to do this genre. It's more like, I think math rock happened just because that's how my brain works. Like, I played a lot of classical music that flowed, ebbed and flowed. It wasn't so like rigid to 4/4. And for that reason, I think I was always really comfortable with polyrhythms and like compound meter and things like that. And so naturally in my writing, I would just write stuff that sounded like, when a person speaks, the sentence flows. It's not just like talking to a grid. Like it would be like that. And sometimes after I write something, I count it. I'm like, oh, that's like effed up. Like, oops. So yeah, I kind of just fell into it by accident. And the term math rock is so broad. Like I think there's bands like Hella and like Slint and stuff. They're like, it's more like angular and chaotic. And then and Doug Caballero, they're like one of the 90s math scene founders. But then you get bands that are more like flowy, like TTNG and stuff, where it's actually like more indie pop. And so I think over time I realized that I like it all, but I think I just care more about like emotion rather than having the angular component.
Yeah. So tell me, like you learn to play guitar,
Mm-hmm.
you start to compose. Like, how did you kind of come onto the scene? How did you start producing your own albums, and how did you get recognized?
It was an accident, and it was so lucky. I feel very fortunate. I think right place, right time. So I was fresh out of college. I double majored in art and education because I wanted to be a teacher, and I was an art teacher for a long time. And I taught. I actually helped kids do like college portfolio applications. And I remember one of my students at the time. She was like, "Do you have an Instagram?" And I was like, "No." I didn't want to get social media because I was like, I'm going to die with MySpace. Like, I don't want them getting my info or whatever. And she was like, you should make an Instagram. And so she made my account for me. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll post videos. And overnight, like, I remember at the time my phone actually shut down because it like was overwhelmed by like the likes and the whatever. And yeah, I posted not for anything other than documenting my own progress and like showcasing like riffs I was working on, and it was purely like fun for me. Mm-hmm. And then I remember one day on Facebook, I posted this one riff of me in my bedroom, just doing this like tapping thing I wrote, and it was like my chin, just my chin, and it was like so low quality, and that kind of went like viral. And in my inbox, I remember Strandberg Guitarists reached out, and they were like, "Hey, like, do you want to demo our guitar?" And I had never had a guitar company reach out to me before. So I said, hell yeah. I think a lot of how I got where I got was just saying yes to things I didn't know how to do and then figuring out later. So at the time, it was extended range, fanned fret, headless guitars. And I'd never touched one before in my life. But I said, hell yeah. And then they were like, cool, see you in a week. And
now you gotta learn how to play this thing.
I was like, I've never played extended range. So I borrowed an Ibanez guitar at the time. Yeah. And it was a 7-string, and I wrote something in a week. And then I like did the demo, and then that just kind of snowballed into an AMG TV, and then like all this other stuff. one thing I will mention is that I said yes to all these opportunities, but I was so young and green at the time that I didn't really understand what I even wanted out of gear. So I think like a big reason why, I have my current setup right now is because I learned that I'm not like a headless, like, extended range guitar person, like I'm more like, I think traditional guitars just like kind of feel more me. Not to say they're not wonderful instruments. So
yeah. Everybody has their own gear preferences, as we all know. It's why we exist.
yeah, right. But yeah, I got a tour off of those videos. I didn't even have an album out. Like someone took me on tour just as it was Chon, actually. I really am grateful to them. And I did a tour, and then that got me a booking agent at the time. It was so like Hollywood movie. He was like in the crowd and he was like, he went up to like, merch, and he was just like, hey, like, I heard your band, like.
Really?
Yeah, that never happens, I don't think. But yeah, I just am very, very, very lucky to, I never had this dream.
Did you ever go back to that original art student who created your Instagram account and thank her?
She's my photographer now.
Oh, great.
Yeah, she ended up. Yeah, she ended
Yeah.
up studying fashion, and she did a bunch of shots for me and Yamaha. So.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. I owe her a solid.
Yeah. So now you've like you burst onto the scene. Tell me where you go from there. Like, I mean, you're starting to get some recognition. You're starting to tour and play around. Like, what's next for you?
I think as an artist, it's not right for you to just do the same thing forever, right? Like, cause then you never grow. And for me, I feel like I've been kind of doing the same thing for a while. And I right now I'm kind of touring on a bunch of songs I wrote ages ago. And I really have been trying to find and carve out the time to write new music, and just explore touring on that. I'm kind of trying to do more solo stuff. I just got to do some stuff for film, and I would love to have more opportunities like that. I realize I love recording from home. I just got a house in the woods and I built a recording studio up there. So I'm loving just being in my own space, producing and things like that.
Don't have to worry about time or anything. Just do your art.
Yeah.
And in one of the most unexpected stories, Yvette was in the 2021 Logitech Super Bowl commercial. Tell me, like, how that happened. And
I do not think I can take credit for anything because I didn't even know it happened. Like, I did a Logitech, sort of like a commercial / like product demo. And they had used a bunch of footage, and I didn't know that Logitech was going to do a Super Bowl commercial. So I guess I didn't even see it. Okay. My face flashed on screen for like 2 seconds, but I guess people caught on. And so I remember my phone got blown up by like, oh my God, I just saw you on a Super Bowl commercial. I was like,
what are you thinking?
What? I was like, what? Why? But it's weird how popular become when you are in a Super Bowl commercial. Like, I had people from the woodworks reach out. I didn't talk to them for years, and they're like, oh, hey, how's it going? We should get a coffee. I'm like, you think my life has changed for my face flashing for 2 seconds in a Super Bowl commercial? No, I'm still in my bedroom right now, just like chugging on riffs. Like, nothing's changed for me. So yeah, it was just very bizarre and surreal. And, thank you for the exposure, Logitech.
Still pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's cool. My parents are like, we're glad you're not a doctor.
And tell me about that. Did they this must have been, parents raising kids, like I've got 2 kids, and it's not a linear path. You think one thing, and then, kids just do what they do. And, they had some vision of you becoming a doctor and going to university and being a, world-renowned concert pianist. And then, you took a different path. Like how did they adapt to that? How did that change your relationship?
I think you're right. You can't control like the path that anyone takes, right? We're all autonomous human beings. I think right now they're really proud. Even though I'm not doing the exact career path that they set for me, I am grateful for the music lessons, right? That in itself is a privilege. Like, I wouldn't have been able to teach myself guitar if I didn't have my piano background or my violin background and a rich musical upbringing. And I definitely think the most important thing that I did take from it is the values. As a parent, all you can really do is instill in your kid. I'm not a parent, so I'm just like talking on my ass here. But all you can do is instill in your kids the best values, a sense of self, and the ability to make decisions for themselves and have the confidence to do so. And then expose them to as many things in the world as you can so that they can be equipped to like choose for themselves. Because even choosing something is a skill. Right? Like if someone just grows up being told what to do, like adulthood is going to be insane because when you're an adult, no one's going to tell you what to do. You have to make decisions for yourself.
And usually the answer is not clear.
Yeah, it really isn't. And the path, as you said, is not linear. A lot of the biggest lessons I've learned has been through making the wrong choice. And I remember that and I don't do it again. So yeah, I think that they're proud and they're just happy that I, reflect the values that I was brought up with. And they're just happy. Like a big part of why I do what I do, I realize, is I'm not very good at I don't want to just be like, oh, listen to my song. Like for me, it feels I'm shy, but I lately, amidst the doom of what's happening to the music industry and a lot of people being discontent, I found a lot of solace and security and joy and actually being a teacher again and trying to use my craft to empower other people and to give them skills and knowledge and help them feel more secure too. Mm. So I've been doing stuff at schools, at shows. I talk to people about their journey and things. And yeah, I think they are really proud, that I'm just representing and helping other people because I think I get the most joy from that.
Yeah. Well, if I was your parents, I'd be super proud.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We've actually been really overwhelmed by the response so far, so thank you for that. We have also noticed that a lot of you haven't subscribed yet. We have incredible guests coming up. I'm not even allowed to tell you who they are, but trust me, you don't want to miss this. So hit subscribe. That way you don't miss an episode. Now back to the program.
So you got to compose music for Superman?
Oh, I wish I could take credit for that. I didn't compose. David Fleming did all the composing.
Okay.
David Fleming and his team of people. I just got sent cues and I interpreted instructions.
Okay.
So I played the guitar and did the tones and stuff. Me and Andrew Sinowick, he was the other guitarist.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
and how was that different than a different experience? Tell me about that.
It was exciting. I got basically put on retainer for a month, and yeah, it was also nerve-wracking because I'm a big feedback person. If I need to get something done, I want to know if I did it well or not well, so that I can do a better time next time if the answer was not well. But you don't really get feedback. If you get nothing, it means good job. If you get feedback, it means, oh, you better fix this now. And it was like being on call. You get 24 hours for. Sometimes you get a cue at 11 p.m. and you got to turn it in the next day. So it's just a lot of uncertainty. But I was excited. Also at the end, I don't know what they ended up using. I did inject some creative things. I used my signature pedal to make a lot of the pads and stuff. And I was I'm putting this in here because I think it adds some depth and character into the theme. But I also don't want to overstep. So they're there if you need them. They're in the stem. And then it's funny because when I finally saw the movie, I didn't even pay attention to the plot. I was just
You're listening for yourself. That's great.
I'm it's covered by an explosion. I put so much work into that one thing. There's an explosion and I covered it. It's okay.
Such a different experience.
Yeah.
You also, in this period, went through a breakup with your band.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share anything about that, or?
Okay, my advice is if you start a project with your friends, don't assume that they're gonna always have your best interests, I guess. Yeah, I got really betrayed. So I will say that. And things in the band got, being a woman in a band of guys sometimes is tricky because things happen. And it got to a point where I was so depressed in my own project, I wanted it to die. I really just wanted it to all go away because I didn't even feel like I had any agency in this thing, which is ironic because this is supposed to represent agency for me, right?
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I think, you are in control of your work environment and you are in control of your destiny. And if you're in a situation where your environment is making you feel sick or like unmotivated, you are allowed to make the changes necessary to escape. It's funny because music is a job. If you're doing it as a job, it's a job. And in any other environment, like I was a teacher, in any other job, if your coworkers are like doing something inappropriate or like doing something illegal or like screwing you over or something, you are allowed to go, you have an HR, you are allowed to go like talk to someone about it.
There's recourse.
Yeah, there's recourse, there's consequences. But for some reason in music, it's like the least professional job, And I was like, well, why am I letting this thing take away my joy? Why am I letting my circumstances dictate like how I feel about something I'm supposed to love so much, right? So yeah, things came to like a boiling point and I realized, oh my God, like even my crew around me, they were like, this is not right. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I kind of snapped out of it. And yeah, it was a long legal battle. I finally just like let go because I was like, I'm supposed to be making music, not studying law. And yeah, I got out of it and I have way better people around me now and I'm way happier. So I think what I learned from that is definitely like have a lawyer look over everything before you sign.
Yeah, right. I feel like that is the history of music summed up in a sentence.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's really crazy because like I mentioned, I was an art teacher, so it's not like I have a business background. One of them did. So I just trusted a friend. And I also like, a lot of times I feel like these companies or these like labels and stuff, they predate on the inexperience of people who are just excited to have someone believe in them.
Yeah.
And so when you're new, you're like, oh my God, we need to sign this. This is our ticket in. But I think what people don't recognize is that they're signing away like X amount of years of their life. So a lawyer is so worth the investment. And
so what advice do you have to a younger musician who's kind of getting their start and maybe has their first opportunity? What would you do differently?
Don't be afraid to talk about boundaries from the get-go.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's interesting because like it started as like Covet started as garage project. Like I never was like, this is my business. Like I was teaching and then stuff snowballed into a point where I was like, whoa, I could like make the jump into music as my career if I wanted to. In fact, I should because I'm taking so much time off teaching. Why not? YOLO, right? So it's not like the infrastructure was already there to turn it into a business.
Yeah.
It was like really like I'm still cleaning up stuff like from the beginning, So I would say don't be afraid to like clearly state your boundaries and have that tough conversation right from the get-go. If you have a contract or something, like have everyone look at it and get a lawyer to like go through everything so no one's surprised and no one can like later come back and try to like claim more than they're entitled to. And yeah, just like educate yourself. Be smart about the business aspect of it because I'm an artist at heart. Like, I'm the kind of person where I'll like just give away everything for free because I don't enjoy the feeling of taking money from people. But we have to survive. And unfortunately, because I wasn't careful enough in the beginning, I ended up making mistakes and trusting the wrong people to the point where it really damaged my relationship with my own project. And I'm still doing work to repair that, and I think I can. But yeah, I think just educating yourself. Like, that's what school should be teaching, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of stuff. Like, modes are cool, but like, you should be teaching people how to survive.
What incredibly good advice. And I think that, if people follow that advice, musicians, artists, there's so many terrible stories of signing bad contracts, having bad partners, and starting off with good intentions, and then, not everybody has good intentions, right?
No, and people change too.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're good when you're kids and stuff, but then sometimes I think fame and like money, when there's money involved, people transform into people you hardly recognize. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great advice.
Yeah.
Let me shift gears a little bit to something a little happier, which is you've got signature guitars. You have 2 signature guitars. You've got a signature pedal here that you designed, and I'd love to hear about your gear. Like, tell me what it means to you, and kind of why you did what you did, and I'd love to just nerd out a little bit on the gear.
I'm down. Yeah. So this is actually a signature. I think I'm allowed to say it. It's gonna come out probably around fall, like October. The biggest reason I'm excited about it, obviously it's sparkly and pink, but it's got P90s, and it's like the first time I'm just so late to the P90 game. The last one was Telly pickups, and the one before that were a Strat style, the Seymour Duncans. But these are Wilkinson P90s, and they're like, I did like the blind pickup, what is it called? Shootout, where I just like try out a bunch, and these just like made me want to play. Like, when you pick up a guitar and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do it 5 minutes. But then like like an hour passes, you're like, oh shoot, like how did this happen? Like, I feel like this guitar is gonna do that with people.
So you did this, you tried blind, played, listened, used your ear to pick, and you wound up on P90s.
Yeah.
There is such a cult following around P90s, just truly.
Yeah. I understand why, because it has the precision and twinkly, like sparkliness I like about single coils. But I think a lot of people do like humbuckers and how they rock, you know? And I think, my music has transformed. I think each signature guitar kind of represents like a chapter of my life. Like, I started out like a super Strat girl, super Telly girl. I've been writing grungier, like chordy, heavy stuff, and I'm just like, this is a perfect vessel for that, because I'm still tapping and like doing that stuff, but I'm also like getting into the grunge zone.
It's fantastic. I love the grunge zone.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see this come out. Any other kind of special things that you like to call attention to, or?
It's got this special bridge, also Wilkinson. I'm not good. It's, how names of things are always like numbers and stuff. I don't remember the particular like sequence of letters and numbers, but it's got a new bridge that they're releasing. And what I love about this is it's the intonation. I do a lot of like bending and like dives now, and it just stays in tune remarkably. Like, I've just done so much international touring with this, and, I've just really wailed on it. And
that is the bane of any guitarist, is like when you're doing your dives and then it comes back out of tune.
Yeah.
Right.
I experienced zero of that with this bridge. And that was something that when I asked Trev, I was like, hey, like, could I have something where I'm changing tunings and I'm like bending, and it just like, it just stays really, really wonderfully in tune.
Without like all the pain of a Floyd Rose or something where it's all, locked in, but it's very,
I couldn't do Floyd Rose because I changed tunings during my set so much. So
yeah, there you go.
That would be impossible. Yep. And I've got like, this one doesn't have it, but I've done like custom art for inlays. So these will have my artwork on them, and then the headstock will have some special art as well. So yeah, this is still a prototype, but they have the actual finished one at the office, which I'm excited to go see.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So I feel really lucky to be able to drop this. I wrote a really heavy song to debut with it. So I'm going to Grunge Town.
All right. Can't wait to hear that one.
Thanks. Yeah.
And then tell me about the Chi.
Oh boy, I feel so fortunate to have this pedal out with Walrus. They approached me to do a signature and they're like, what would you want? And I was like, what don't I want? And so basically,
there's a lot going on. It appears a very sophisticated pedal with a lot of different features. So tell me, why'd you choose what you put in?
Yeah. I mean, I can just run you through.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it?
Let's hear it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, walk us through.
So essentially, how it's broken down is I'm gonna kneel down so I can show you.
Okay.
So people view all this, they're like, oh, hell no, it's really intimidating, too many knobs. And I'm like, don't be intimidated. It's actually 4 pedals. And the big thing I wanted when I work with them was when I started producing and recording myself, a big thing I started wanting in my pedals is the ability to go series versus parallel, because I always want the option to blend my original guitar tone in, because sometimes with something like fuzz or distortion, I get really annoyed at I'm like, yeah, I love that gristle, but where's the original attack of my guitar? I don't like that it's gone. So I have series and parallel, and it comes in so handy when you do the granular pad stuff. And so then this is a chorus. You got the tri-chorus and a stereo chorus. Obviously, this is just how much of the effect. This is the rate, this is depth. Delay, you can choose between quarter, dotted, eighth, typical delay controls. This is, this one right here, your wet, dry mix, your tone. So you can actually control how bright you want it. It's basically a frequency sweep. And then this is I believe they put the slower algorithm in here. So it's you can turn everything into a wash. And this is my favorite part of it. This is the trickiest thing that I wanted to put in there, but it's granular, grain cloud stuff. So it takes the notes you're feeding in, it generates a kind of a pad. And then it also has a phrase sampler component. So it takes what you're playing, it listens to what you're doing, and then it generates a new sequence. And then with that sequence, you can pitch it up, you can pitch it down, you can do halftime, you can reverse it, or you can do a combination of all of it, and which results in some really crazy sounding sequences that I find to be really inspiring as song starters. And the overall thesis of this pedal for me was, I just, I'm an art teacher, right?
Yeah.
So the hardest thing for everyone is always starting. You're confronted with that white piece of paper, and it's just so precious and sterile, and it's oh my God, what do I even do on this? And I feel sometimes when you're playing at home, you want to write something, but you don't know what to do. You're just following the same thing that you're comfortable with. So this, I hope you can generate a wash of color on that white sheet of paper. And then with that color, it'll actually help, you can interact with that color, and then it'll feed you ideas so that you can write differently.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's fun. That's what I want people to get out of it. But I'm talking a lot. I can just show you.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So let me turn on the amp. So let's do the chorus first. I'm going to turn off all this stuff. So that's a chorus, everyone knows what a chorus sounds like. And then you can now play with adding some delay into it. Okay, so now I'm just gonna showcase my favorite part. So let's start with the Graham Cloud. Here, I'm gonna undo this. So you can undo what it's playing just by holding it. it less bright. And it's on parallel right now, so what that means is you can like play over it. So, you know, you just jam with yourself. So now, that's just a wash. You can put it reverse.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. And I put that little like dive in there so it almost sounds like there's like built-in reverse and then random. It's just great texture. So let's clear that.
It's very trippy.
It's very crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm gonna go to the phrase sampler. Let's see if I can come up. I never know what's gonna happen with it, but let's see if I can feed it something interesting. Let's do, okay, phrase sampler. Let's have it on this. This, cool. So you can like make that reverse. It's like a nice bed or random. And then you can turn that into like a big bed. Anyway, I didn't gain stage that at all. But like, yeah, I was trying to put some distortion in it because it sounds crazy with fuzz and stuff. But yeah, you know, it's just a little idea
incredible.
generator.
Yeah. I can see what you mean about that can be like a source of inspiration.
Yeah, it's I think as I've like played guitar more, something that I have become more interested in is just surrendering control. Like I come from the classical world where it's so much about like regimented control. It's like if you didn't play as it's meant to be, then you're a failure, right? But then so much of what I come to love about the rock world is I realized, well, first of all, when I first started playing live shows, in a rock band, I was like disappointed and like crying and depressed after every show because I was like, this went wrong and like this sounded like crap and like blah blah blah. I was like so bummed and everyone was like, what are you talking about? Like everyone was happy, but because I come from that background, I'm like so hard on myself. And then throughout
You're the only one to
years,
notice the mess up.
well, yeah, I would be that person who someone would be like, great set. I'd be like, well, thanks. Actually, like, during the third song, I stepped on the wrong delay. And then they'd be like, okay, like, you know, I realized it was actually like recently that, a good show isn't about a perfect show. A good show is about the best transference of energy. And when you're up there having like the best time and feeling the music, that energy gets transferred to the audience and, you know, they feel that. They feel that your happiness, your joy, your anguish, all of that. And I think, that's what I love about, the rock world is it's less about precision and more about that, you know, some of the most exciting shows are like when things go wrong, and surrendering control. Sorry, I like get on tangents sometimes. I love now incorporating this pedal into my transitions and like even ends of songs and stuff, because I don't know what's going to happen, and that makes every show different. And it allows me to be on my feet on stage, improvising with it, and like kind of allowing, like, each song in my set is now seamless because of it. And I don't know what's going to happen, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know?
So you've gone from early career, everything is exact, to now a lot of improvisation and freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to be so uncomfortable with that. And I think that's the point of doing art, is it makes you into a better person.
I think that's a fantastic way to wrap things up. Yvette Young, everybody, what a great conversation. Congratulations on, first of all, like, creating these remarkable instruments, and hope everybody checks them out. I understand that your pedal is an incredibly successful and popular pedal also.
Thanks.
So if you don't have it, you're missing out. But also such an inspiration, and you know, finding your own motivations, finding your own love for music, and really, you know, cutting a new path with your own music, and probably inspiring countless artists in the process. So thank you for the conversation, and it was really great to meet you, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Gabe.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining Inside the Noise. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.